Hi, Ron. We're so lucky to have Mr. Trevor Grey on the show with us today. Trevor's a massive background in enterprise excellence and he's going to bring us some different angles through his learning and experience. But this is a very practical show that's going to teach you and give you insights from a person who's really led hands-on in factories to help create excellence in frontline and maintenance and a lot of key topics. Trevor's kindly provided us his model, which you can go to the Enterprise Excellence Podcast website to download and brace yourself for a great show. You're going to love it. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the Enterprise Excellence Podcast, where we aim to help create a better future. Learn from our world's experts how to improve and create enduring, high-performance, low-impact enterprises. Learn how to enhance morale, customer and purpose centricity, focus, and calmness. Learn how to create and sustain a culture of excellence at all levels of your organisation.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Brad Jevons, broadcasting from Brisbane, Australia. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by the Enterprise Excellence community and group. We invite you to join our monthly virtual community meetings, where you can learn from global experts and connect with fellow members. Past guest speakers include Jeff Leica, Jeff Sutherland, Chris Butterworth, and many more. Events have included virtual excellence tours of organisations such as BHP and US Synthetic. To register for an upcoming event, please visit enterpriseexcellenceacademy.com/community. We look forward to seeing you there.
Welcome to episode 185 of the Enterprise Excellence Podcast. It is such a pleasure to have Mr. Trevor Grey on the show with us today. Trevor is the General Manager of Cooling Operations at Viscount Reuse. Trevor has been involved in cross-functionally or directly as a senior leader, leading out cultures of continuous improvement for over 20 years in some of the world's largest and most successful organisations, deploying Lean globally. Today, we're going to explore with Trevor delivering results through shop floor ownership of maintenance and problem solving. Let's get into the episode. Trevor, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Brad. Thank you. No worries.
I appreciate it. So, Trevor, what got you involved in continuous improvement in the first place?
I guess, Brad, probably necessity. I've spent the first 20 odd years of my life as a production manager. So starting off in maintenance, I'm a mechanical engineer by qualification, but wound up quite quickly in production management in various, mostly with the breweries, which is fast moving consumer goods, so FMCG kind of stuff, both batch process and packaging. And great business, but lots of pressure, lots of push for results, and a business that globally had a really good continuous improvement framework. So at the end of the day, if you want to deliver results, you have to go along. You have to figure out what CI is going to do, and often when things are going well, you kind of do your own way. But when things are tough and the pressure's on, you've really got to focus on the process. And if you're not, that's when the pressure comes on you. So I worked in an organisation that had a really good CI culture for a long time. I then later, having come to Australia, wound up in a CI role for a big multinational here, both here in Australia and then in the zone. So I had the opportunity to move from pure line management, so understanding the demands of production management, and then working in CI for about four or 5 years. And then transitioning into a much smaller organization, high growth organization, but with a huge lack of maturity in manufacturing and a very pressing business case where we had to increase production, had to increase OEEs quite quickly to meet customer demand, and had the benefit of coming into that business where I started in a CI role, but now I'm the general manager. So back in the saddle and in the absolute privilege of being in the line role, but also being the CI guy.
Yeah, wow. And so, Trevor, you've seen a career from both sides. I guess you started off in that position of production management, production leadership in a CI culture, and then cross-functionally as a CI manager in beverage still, but in Australia. And then back to leadership again. What's just a question I've got, mate, is what's been the difference between the two when you're the direct leader to when you were that cross-functional CI team member? How did you find the difference between those two?
I've been part of various CI networks over the years and so on, and a common refrain you hear when you get together is that it's so difficult to influence management to change. Senior management, middle management, the shop floor, almost invariably, the shop floor are very positive and engaged in CI. It's not hard getting the shop floor to engage in CI. It's really not difficult. Your real problem is middle management, always. And it's because they're busy, they're under the pump, they've got 1,000 things to do, and they don't have the bandwidth to do something new. They immediately, when under pressure, they go back to the tools that have worked for them. So that's a real challenge. Coming in as a line manager, so as a consultant, that was a real challenge, is that influencing change. So now back as a line manager and as the GM, I get to say, you have to, because in the world of CI, one of the big focuses for me always is that question of what's in it for me. And you've got to always ask everybody that you come across what's in it for them, whether it's the shop floor or the middle management. And sometimes, a bit like with your family, there's certain things that people have to do, like your bedtimes at 8 o'clock when they're little kids. It's for their own good. At the end of the day, it's the outcome's going to be good, but they don't want to do it. So doing 5 whys, doing problem solving, structured problem solving, people don't want to do it. And as the boss, you get to say, it's not negotiable. You do it. After a year or two, people do it on instinct. And when they have a big breakdown, they go to the tool because it helps them deliver their result better. It gives them a sense of relief from anxiety, does a lot of positive stuff for them. But at the start, it's just a pain in the neck and they don't want to do it. So it's been fantastic being the boss again, where I get to say, you do have to do your 5 whys.
Yeah, so it gives you that ability, I guess, to really lead people to that point of habit where they actually form the habit and the capability where, I guess, cross-functionally, you don't have that same shadow that you can cast because you don't directly have that line of control. That's an interesting insight. Thanks, Trevor. Yeah. So, Joe, I know that you've led a lot of factories, a lot of machinery in place. And I know from our conversations prior to the show that, you see maintenance as very important. It's a really core aspect of being able to achieve great outcomes in a factory. Do you mind just mentioning for us, like, why is it so important to lean into maintenance and really get slick at how you do that?
Yeah, I think, Brad, when I was a young bloke, I'd gone through the ranks of the business and I got my first job as a site manager. And I went to see one of the gurus of our business who had historically run the best sites. And he sort of mentored me for a little while in that role. And he sat down with me and said, the 3 most important things you've got to get right in manufacturing is maintenance, maintenance, and maintenance. That it's all about your maintenance. You have to, our business, like many FMCG businesses, reliability of equipment is crucial. We run with 3 days of inventory. So if you have a breakdown, you're in trouble. And that inventory is across a network and across SKUs. So as soon as you're down for 2-3 hours, you're starting to have trouble. If you're down for 6 hours, you're dead. We're in an industry where your customers get very unhappy very quickly if you can't supply them. So plant reliability is absolutely fundamental to whatever you do. If your plant is breaking down all the time, you're running around like a headless chicken. You can go and put whatever operational excellence, you can do employee engagement activities, you can do skills metrics, you can do 5 whys. None of it's going to help if your plant breaks down. So number one, stop the plant breaking down and then get your plant to high levels of reliability. From there, that's the foundation that then you get in a virtuous cycle where all the other stuff builds into that performance. But if your plant's breaking down, you got no chance.
Yeah. I guess I've seen it myself on many sites, Trevor, that cycle of equipment's breaking down, operators and everyone gets sucked into it, then the basic things don't happen, and then more kit breaks down. Yeah. It's a very unvirtuous cycle. Yeah. Now, Trevor, here's an interesting element with, I know, your approach, right, that you've really taken a shop floor ownership approach to, even maintenance and improvement and achieving excellence. Why is shop floor engagement And really building that capability there, such a great path to take to achieve excellence in maintenance and everything else.
Yeah, I think it's been a journey and a revelation for me. It's worked much better than I could have ever imagined. And every day I'm pretty amazed at that level of shop floor engagement and maintenance ownership. So, but I think it's important to prefix what I'm going to talk about with maintenance is like, it's a chain. Every link in the chain has to be there. So whilst we have a high level of shop floor engagement, we also very deliberately 4 years ago sat down and implemented a computerized maintenance management system. We went with MEX, which is real simple, put all our schedules, started to implement and starting out, implementing PMs, planned maintenance schedules, checks, measures. So we did that, and we focused on spare parts, getting our spares right, getting them catalogued, getting them in, getting the stock taking done, getting all of the spares right in the system. We got all of that right. We don't really use it for corrective work, and I'll explain why. But that piece of work was probably 2 years to get right. And through that, the site managers, we run very lean sites. We don't have any engineers on site. We've got one national engineer. So the site managers had to build a high level of competence in maintenance. So those fundamentals had to be there. But then we had a challenge in that because we're a smallish business, we're lean, we have no trades at all, like zero. So the model was outsourced maintenance. Maintenance guys come in once a week, they do all the maintenance on the kit, they start it up and they leave. So it was 80% outsourced trades, 20% internal. But you discover quickly the outsourced guys coming in don't understand the equipment properly, they don't have ownership, they're not running the machine every single day, they don't have empathy, they don't get it, they don't know the machines, and it costs you a whole lot of money. They burn through spare parts because that's their way of doing a good job, replace everything. So it really wasn't a great model, but what we did is we said, let's look through our ranks of people, and we have operators at two bands, an operator one and we call a technician operator two. They're not trades. We don't have any trades. We do still have outsourced electricians. If there's an electrical breakdown, we bring in a sparky. So we looked at these guys and then said, if you look at that group, one of the blessings Australian industry has is a lot of recent immigrants into the country. And many of them, may not speak great English and might be quite shy, but when you dig under the surface and scratch in there, there's a sharp mind and there's an amazing work ethic, and often a certification from somewhere else, another country, Bangladesh or something, that is not recognized in Australia. So not a tradesman, but might actually have a cert in mechanical engineering, or it might be an electronics engineer, or might have done computer programming. And actually there's a real wealth of capability. So we split the plant up into areas and created machine owners. And the machine owner concept is very simple. Next to the machine, you put up a board, because we're practicing lean, so make everything visual if we can. And on that board, there's a photograph of the person who owns it. And there's a trend that shows, we go for defects per 10,000 crates washed is what we do. So you get a normalized defect rate, and then you put the board up, and the individual's got his photo, and he has to, once a week, gets given the information, has to plot the performance of his machine. And then you just put a section that says, what's the problems on the machine? And then you put a section, what you're going to do about it. And you just start working with the individuals. We also run quite a good downtime analysis system. So we can identify by Pareto our top areas. And we also have A3 problem solvings, where machine owners get the opportunity to work for a period, maybe 3 months, on a specific key problem. This thing is jamming all the time. All right, let's focus on that for the next 3 months and eliminate that. So they also do that. They have A3 problem solving. When I say they get given the time, they still do their day jobs. We don't stop for that. They just be given a little bit more support from their supervisor in terms of running that project. So that's how we set up the machine owner piece. And the part that management has to do is you've got to review. The PDCA cycle is what we use, plan, do, check, act. Everything runs on plan, do, check, act, or standardized, do, check, act. And it's that check. It's that going every week. So the site that had the fastest improvement every single week, the site manager goes to the board, has a discussion with the machine owner, discusses with them what's going on, how's your machine, what's the key problems, what do we need to do. And that's why I spoke earlier that we don't really handle corrective work in mechs because we capture it on that board. The operator's right, this thing keeps jamming, this thing keeps jamming. So now then we have a discussion with the tech and say, maintenance day is coming up, what do you need to do? I need these parts, I need that, I need a bit of time. Okay, cool. You need a trade to help you. How's that for a change? We ask our operators, do you want a tradesman to help you? And then we'll bring him a tradesman. If he needs a welder, he needs a machinist. Okay, we'll get you a welder. The guy will come in. You tell him what to do, Mr. Operator. You manage the tradesman to do the activity you need done so that your machine can start being reliable. And just that pride just has been amazing. The ownership's been really good.
I love it, Trevor. I love that piece where you're really respecting every individual in the team and understanding their capability and then building their capability to really own machines. And they own the machine and they've got a very simple visual board there that they can use to track performance and Pareto downtime.
Yeah.
And then A3s for executing improvement at each machine with the different machine owners. But then I think the bit I really picked up on was the part leadership play, which is, I guess there's a lot of different language for it, isn't it? But, really getting out there and looking, understanding, learning, and putting that check across the system. Because what is it that does with the machine owner and the operators when that leader is out there at the board, actually having the conversation and taking true interest?
It's if you want to talk about employee engagement, it makes a huge difference. But it's also pressure, right? So the site manager is going once a week and saying, "How are we going? How's your machine going?" It's got the photograph. Now at the start, there's a number of them who say, "This is BS. I'm not, it's not me. Like it's the parts, it's the machine, the design's bad, blah 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 blah." The other operators on the other shift, they got 1,000 reasons, but you just keep the pressure. It's like, come on, mate, what's the problem? Can you fix it? And then the good site managers, you get a breakthrough somewhere. You're going to get one of these operators who gets it, and he starts owning the board, he starts delivering results, you start getting that engagement, and then you start pinging the other guys gently. You walk around every single week. Every week you say, "Hey, mate, you should go have a look at old so-and-so's board. Come walk with me. Let's go. Let's have a look. Hey, so-and-so, how's it going? Mate, this is what I'm talking about. Look what he's doing. Look what you do. You're just going backwards. He's going, well, just think about it. I'll see you next week." Pressure. It starts to come. So it's support and engagement, but it's creating that pressure. And they start, and we've moved people around. We've moved technicians off machines because they haven't performed, and they know it. And we move someone else on, and within 6 weeks, bang. If it's a key machine, there's only so long you can help them, and then the pride is there. The new guy comes in, whoosh, off he goes. It's there's a huge level of pride that comes in with that.
Yeah, it's an element of emotion, isn't it? Because I know I'm going to ask you about the second part, which I know you do a lot of too, which is celebration and recognition. But I can just sense on that there's this respectful pressure of the way you engage with your language, and then I guess in essence that does provide that element of emotion. Now that drives change, or if you can't change, you got to change. But the other aspect I know you do a lot of with the teams is a lot of recognition and celebration based on achieving specific performance outcomes that the team define. That's the other interesting thing I find with this. You've got machine operators and teams, and they set the targets themselves for a quarter. Am I right? I don't know. Please correct me. And then you recognize and celebrate. Do you mind explaining this? I just wanted to really hang on that position that the team define the target. I understand.
Yeah, it's a bit. So the targets are essentially set in the budget. When you set your annual budget, you negotiate with the site managers and with the national operations manager, and we wind up with a number that they're not quite comfortable with, and we would like slightly better, but you wind up with a number that there's a bit of pressure to deliver. But then you say, how do we go get it? How do you get the shop floor involved? So it starts with your hour by hour board. And hour by hour boards are in most factories. You'll see hour by hour boards. Many of them are not filled in correctly, are pretty dusty. And many of that is because they, like the rock of Sisyphus, they are meaningless labor for no purpose. The operator fills it in all the time. So what? Like, what's the point? We've really trimmed all of our reporting way back to the hour by hour board. It's the heart. We share it on WhatsApp after every single shift. I see it. Everyone in the business sees that supervisor. And there's the number. There's the target every single hour. And, you know, our hour by hour boards are very simple. They're all blue writing, except for the column that says hourly performance, which is green or red. So it pops out. If you have a red, it just jumps out. So they own this number already. But then how do you celebrate with that? And we have a recognition program we've run for 5 years. It's now electronic through an electronic platform, which is great, but it's two-phase, individual and team awards. Individual is $150 voucher, and it's a letter. It used to be a handwritten letter, now it's digital, but it's for an individual who's done something amazing, and we're pretty loose on what does that mean, as long as it's amazing. So we have to push all the time. The site manager, tell me something that's someone's done something amazing in your site. And, oh, yeah, but this guy's done something amazing. So pushing to recognize. And team-based, we've been through various iterations of team-based recognition. Thank goodness for Uber Eats. It's been a revelation. We have a very culturally diverse workforce. We have halal, we have vegetarian, we have all sorts of people. Uber Eats allows you to instantaneously, the next shift, man, hit the target, meal on site. So we do meal on site. The whole group gets together, because a lot of our cultures are cultures where sharing a meal together is very important in their culture, right? So bringing everyone together, we stop the line, have a meal, whatever you want. If you want to have a curry and you want to have a pizza, you know, it used to be pizza, but that's like the culture changes and you've got to adapt. So we're able to reward very quickly, like straight away, and people love a meal on site. But then we've layered it up, and what we said is, if you really smash the lights out, let's have a party. How about that? A party, a celebration. And that's like for many companies, and for ours was like pretty much unheard of. So then we said, okay, what do you need to achieve that? So I sat down with all the shifts together, the whole site, and we had a negotiation. What would wow look like, guys? It was smash out. And originally it was 4,500 for a week, which was unimaginable. Would we do that sort of run rate? But then the site hit it. You know, one of the sites, we threw it out there, the party. And then we went to, on a Saturday night, it has to be Saturday because we run around the clock. We stopped the production for the day on Saturday. We went and did karaoke. And everybody loved it. Off-site, it's that respect thing. It's the same as we would do for management. You go off-site to a venue of their choice. And every single team has behaved respectfully. We have alcohol at the function. We have rules around how that's done, but you know, even shop floor, it's no problem. We have alcohol just like anyone else would, because we treat you with respect, and they treat us respect in return. We almost always go to all-you-can-eat buffet. It's what the guys like. It's like $40 a head. It's not expensive. The alcohol bill's not exorbitant. We have a real good time, and they all do it in a different way, and we pitch up. But each time, as you say, Brad, at the function, after a few drinks, there's this heated negotiation. It's like union negotiation about what's the next target. What's the, oh my goodness, we'll never achieve that milestone. We need 2 months in a row of this. They're like, wow, that's impossible. But then they sign up and they put up the posters at their workplace and the big challenge, and they start tracking the weeks and they track the months, and they send me photographs like, we're on track, we're going to hit the party. And then they tell me when the party is, and we rock up and I put down the credit card and we have a big party. And we've done seven. We've done 7 so far of these parties.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, Trevor. So I really sense there the multiple layers of recognition. You know, you got the individual straight away, and you got to hit the target, a meal, which Uber Eats provides that variety. Yeah. And then you've got the aspirational, which the team you negotiate in initially, and then I guess in that next party you have that debate time where you're debating the next target while having a very good time too. Because I've seen photos and videos of these events, and it's just great to see leadership at all levels and frontline teams just having such a good time together. Like there must be some great stories come of those events.
Yeah, and we are, you know, we have to be responsible. We're the leadership there. We've got to make sure it's done safely. in a way that's safe. We close up at the end of the day. We did one on Thursday night. I'm the last person there. Make sure everyone's in a taxi. Everyone gets home safe. Everyone behaves. But that's important. But as you say, it does, and just the way you paraphrase it is like, we have very short-term recognition, medium-term recognition, and long-term recognition. How do you keep the focus? Especially our OEEs now are beyond any expectation. They're high in the 90s. And how do you keep them going? What's next? What's the next exciting challenge? That's always how do you keep something that they're going to strive for the next 8 months to get this target? How do you bring that along? So that's worked well.
But I love the system of it too, Trevor, that you do, because like as you do start to hit the high 90s, an aspiration is not as big a jump as when you're down in OEs of the 50s. At most, you and I know most plants probably in Australia are running at mid 50s OEE.
Mm.
Am I incorrect on that?
I don't know.
I think me being involved in so many factories over the years.
Yeah.
Mid 50s.
Yeah.
But I guess the way the system works that you run it, the aspiration doesn't have to be the same leap every time. Like as you get higher, I'm guessing it's smaller leaps, but those leaps can be even harder than a big leap when you're down in the 50s and you're going to 59 or 60, you know?
Yeah. It is. And we've been trying to find ways to link it to safety.
Mm.
Touch wood, our safety at the moment's going real good. Or link it to cents per crate. And that's a huge shift in discussion with the shop floor is putting up, this is our cost per crate, cost per production. Because the shop floor, often are incentivized. And how do you get there is by reducing overtime. That's the way you get to your cost. And them understanding that and getting behind that goal and saying, we want to be the lowest cost producer. That's quite a shift. And the challenge is you start losing the sharpness and clarity of OEE. Sharp, it's hit the target every single shift. Bang, 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 bang. The guys get it. It's real simple. As soon as you start saying, but if we work overtime, the cost per crate goes up, proportionally, it starts getting complicated. You got to keep it simple. Wherever you can in OpEx and anything to do with lean, if you can make it simpler, make it simple. If you think it's sounding confusing, it is confusing. Make it simpler. We have, like problem solving, we have 3 tools. We have a 5Y, we have a root cause analysis, which is called a PSS, and we have an A3. And they all work on 4 same tools, which is define your problem properly, do a brainstorm on a fishbone, use your 5Is to get to root cause, and make an action plan. So our training curricula is half an hour, including a couple of free YouTube videos that we show the guys. Because you only need to learn to do those 4 things. You can solve any problem. Where, in my previous lives, we had, we used various quite complicated global systems. We had training manuals like inches thick on problem solving with huge, complicated training. You'd go for days on problem solving training. It's just too complicated. We've now got it super simple.
No, I'm with you, Trevor, totally. I think, like a baseline, you need a process. And then from there, it's basically around root cause and problem solving, and then some structure to be able to execute an improvement. And the other tools look after themselves, don't they? Like if 5S is needed because it's the tool for the problem, well then, people can learn it rapidly and use it. It's like from there, it's just choosing the right tool to hit the nail.
Yeah, and all of these, like 5S, it's taken me almost 30 years to find a simple way to do 5S. We have a simple way to do 5S.
Oh,
and it's again, you've got to push. But I'm amazed in the plants that have done a good job of 5S, how well it sustains. You got that manager check of poly leader standard work. You walk around once a day, just check, or twice a week, just check that your 5S is all in the condition it should be. But the 5S is designed with the operators so it makes sense to them. You have the brushes I need to clean my machine or to keep this area clean. I have the tools I need. They're displayed in a way that makes sense. It's only the stuff I need and it's simple. Then it just stays there. It's like it's there. Other shit doesn't arrive because it's not needed. People, they've got to the point of just what I need. Just one other one other point around the engagement, Brad, was, which I think is really important, is we have these forums. And so, if you're trying to improve your reliability, you have a reliability forum, and we have, I said, one engineer nationally. And so we have a forum about once a quarter where we take each bit of equipment. Fortunately, all our plants have the same kit. And then we analyze that bit of kit and look at the maintenance schedules. We look at the cleaning, and we look at spare parts optimization, spare parts usage, how much we hold, is it the right spare? We go through the whole thing. Now, here's the trick. It's the operators who do that. We fly them from around the country to a central location to one of the plants, and they spend 3 days. The operators, not the site manager, not the engineer. Engineer only facilitates. The operators go through the PM schedules and jointly say, we can move this one out. And the one guy says, no, hang on. When I do it, I know it says that, but I'm doing this. Oh, really? That sounds quite clever. Can we go and look? And then on maintenance day, they all go to the machine together. And he shows them, I do this. And the other guy says, I do that. Oh, well, maybe we should do it this way. And that's more efficient. Or I got this other this other part that I fitted and has reduced my downtime by this and that. Wow, okay, let's change that part. And they work on the machines together. They optimize the stuff. They treat it like anybody else from a business traveler. They fly, they get a rental car, they stay in the hotel, they go for dinner together, all of this stuff. These are operators who've never been on a business plane in their life before. And that, drives real improvement. It's not some maintenance engineer who really doesn't understand the kit deciding what the schedule should be. And B, amazing engagement, real engagement.
Yeah, I love it, Trevor. And I think to everything you've done, Trevor, too, avoids the aspect that can happen in a factory, which is the us and them between operators and maintenance. I've seen it many times before where you've got a big factory and there's the maintenance team and they feel that the operators stuff everything up and they shouldn't touch anything. And then the operators look at the maintenance guys as if you're not focusing on the right stuff. You're not getting there when I need you.
Yeah.
Like what you've done, you've created a unified team approach through everything that you do.
Mm.
It avoids a lot of the downfalls that can happen. So, Trevor, sorry, mate.
We are lucky that we're blessed that we don't have trades. No, it's a curse. When we started, it was, this business will never run. We need trades. I've broken that paradigm. Because, one of the absolute gurus I had the privilege of working with on maintenance, he told me maintenance is simple. It's simple. Just, you put some inspection tasks, you put some replacement tasks, you put some cleaning tasks, you look what the OEM tells you, you smarten it up. Excuse me. But you got to do it. 99% of maintenance is just do it. And you don't have to be a highly qualified tradesman to change a chain or a sensor or grease or lubricate or inspect or discover something's clanky and loose and replace a bushing. 99% of what you do is absolutely dead simple stuff. It's real simple. So you can train unskilled people, who come with some skills from elsewhere, to do 99% of what your trades need. And that's been a revelation. 95% of our maintenance now is done by operators. 5% is done by OEM, who we fly in from Europe twice a year, goes to all the sites. And when he's on site for those 2 days doing the deep dive audit of all the equipment and helping us with key difficult tasks, those operators are like limpets. You cannot, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, middle of the night, they are with him all the way. In fact, sometimes we fly another operator to that site, so 2 of them are with him. They're just absorbing every single word he says, and everything he says, they're picking up and they do.
Yeah, it's so true, Trevor, and especially nowadays with the way technology is going, so much with machinery as modules now too, and all sorts of things to just, it's not going the other way. It's not heading that complexity path and that. Like maybe software is where, you get that greater position, but still the capability and technology and software that so many people have nowadays that can be built upon is amazing too, isn't it? Yeah. Trevor, so this has been a great conversation, mate. And I really value the simplicity of it, but also the outcomes of it, how much you and the team have achieved. Mate, what would be your 2-minute enterprise excellence tip now after you've had your 20 to 30 years of career in this space, you've been able to lead this frontline led excellence. What would you say to a young CI person, continuous improvement person, or leader now, where it's about achieving excellence?
Yeah, I think based on my mistakes that I've made in the past and my learnings, focus on the value. You've got to focus on the value for everybody, whether it's the CEO of the business, the supply chain director, or it's the shop floor operator. How is the process you're bringing going to add value for them? You've got to be really clear about that and really persistent, and you've got to use your tools to start delivering that value. Like you said, Brad, if 5S in the short term is not going to deliver value, you can take it slow. You can't not do it. You've got to do it. But find your wins and systemic wins. Where's the value? How do you help people when they are drowning, when the whirlwind is smashing them every single day? Find the value. I think that the other tip would be shop floor people have more capability than we give them credit for, almost universally. You spend time, listen, talk, engage, challenge. There is more skill and capability. We've got a young fellow who's in line potentially to become one of our supervisors. We just had a resignation. He started with no qualifications, islander guy, no skills, no qualifications, labourer on the line. And over the 3 or 4 years, it's there. He just hasn't had the opportunity. He hasn't had the chance. No one's ever given him a chance. And not everyone will stand up and perform, but there's people who you can make a big difference to their lives if you give them a chance. So, people have capability. You think your shop floor doesn't have capability. You're wrong. There's more capability than you think.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And Trevor, what's been for you, mate? What's been a recent insight for you? Like, I know you've been working so much and you think so deeply in this space, but what's been a recent insight?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same thing again. I'm saying I was at one of these celebration functions and talking to the shop floor guys and is that I was astounded at the level of stuff that's going on behind the scenes that I didn't even know about. All of our teams run on WhatsApp. Early on, when I joined this business, I asked the shop floor guy, how do we communicate effectively with everyone? They said, you got to use WhatsApp. Like, the what? What is that? How does that work? He said, no, it's your social media platform and cool. So I have no idea. Can you set this up for me? So the shop floor guy said, sure, no worries. And he set it all up for me. And everybody, we have maybe 20 WhatsApp forums, many of which I'm not privileged to at all. I didn't know how they're happening. But, that capability behind the scenes was a real insight. And again, it's like, if you create the right environment and the right pressure and the right opportunities, people will do a lot more and will deliver fantastic results. So, and at the moment, I'm just every single day I look at we have a digital report that comes out via the email twice a day that shows us how we're performing. I look at that and the pie chart's just green, and I can't believe it. I have to pinch myself. So, but that's because of the great people that are do good work.
Yeah, and I can really sense through this conversation too, Trevor, you and the team have led it and continue to put that energy on it for a lot of years altogether.
Yeah.
It's that flywheel effect, isn't it? You've spun that flywheel year after year after year, and you're in this amazing place, which I know that a lot of factories would just revere to be at, because there's certainly a lot of factories out there where that whirlwind is spinning fast and it's chaos. But
it is.
I think this episode is definitely one for people to listen to and go, yeah, okay, we can break out of that whirlwind. We can create a center of excellence which everyone's involved in. So, Trevor, I really appreciate. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Brad, and probably the closing remark, and not to perhaps take it the wrong way, is like the OEs are really good, but my operations managers, we still wake up at night sweating. Like, this isn't going to last. Double down on the process. We need to focus. We need to check our numbers. We need to make sure inventory's in shape. That sort of stuff. You have to increase your level of anxiety as you get better. Let's say positive anxiety. I don't, it's not a negative thing, but that level, it's like if you are Brisbane Lions and you've just won the premiership, I would imagine they need to be more concerned about winning next year than they were about winning this year. You can't rest on your laurels. You got to say, how are we going to make this a three-peat? That's the challenge for the Brisbane Lions.
Yeah. Oh, it was a great run through. I'm hoping that you're correct there, Trevor. They're my team. And I think just I can sense that then that keeps you pushing that flywheel. It just keeps you working and working and working, seeking perfection.
Yeah.
I love it, mate. I love it. Trevor, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise. I know this show is going to help so many. And we have got a real focus at the moment on leadership and maintenance because it's at such a heart of excellence in a plant. And this show is an absolute cracker for it. Trevor, how can people reach out to you or connect if they want to have a conversation or ask a question?
Probably through you, Brad. You've got my details. They can flick me an email if they want to have a chat about something. We're based in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Perth, but probably Sydney and Melbourne, the bigger sites. If someone wants to come and have a look at a few of the tools and a few of the processes, we're very happy to share. We've had quite a few people around. There's nothing more motivational for a site manager or a shift supervisor or an operator to be able to show a visitor, this is my operator owner board. This is what I'm doing. This is my five your A3. And for you to actually see a shop floor operator explaining an A3 problem solving in detail and showing it, that's like, you got to see it. So if somebody does want to come and have a bit of a look, that's also fine.
Yeah, Trevor, we might coordinate something there, which I'd be happy to do. So listeners, reach out to me and I'll help coordinate so that maybe we could do something that people who are interested can have a look at the same time and save Trevor's team time there. But Trevor, and I understand too, you have got a basic model on a page that you're willing to share too, Trevor. So we'll put that up on the Enterprise Excellence website, mate. And thank you so much, Trevor, for everything you have done and continue to do to help us create a better future, mate. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks, Brad. Nice chatting.
Cheers, Trevor. Bye for now. What a great episode. Remember, you can go to the Enterprise Excellence Podcast website to downloads and get hold of the model Trevor's kindly provided us for you to be able to review. This was an amazing show and I gained so much. To really condense it down, the two key takeaways for me were firstly, the power of operator-led maintenance and building key operator capability in maintenance and how much of maintenance can be done this way rather than needing experts. The other aspect of that was then when it comes to the experts, often the parts and the equipment that need replacing in that regard are not frequent and can be done using OEMs and external parties. So there's a really interesting case where you sit down and look at your equipment and look at your operators and look at the whole system of maintenance and then think about how do we become better at this. And there's some pretty simple, fast ways that you can move forward. But as Trevor said, there's multiple pieces of that system that connect together to truly enable you to keep going forward and get better and better and better like Trevor has. The second key takeaway for me was the part that, again, leadership play in this whole process, especially with the check and act. We're going to plan a maintenance system, we're going to implement a maintenance system, and then we need to have that check, that leading from the front, doing the look, listen, learn walks, actually engage with curiosity at the visual boards with the machine owners and truly understand where they're at, where their challenges are, and provide that coaching and support to them, but also learn yourself as a leader to then think, well, what do I do to help us get even better? The act. And often in systems within organizations, we forget about the check and act. We forget about the critical part that leadership plays in this. And that concept of Gemba or look, listen, work, learn walks or leading from the front, whatever you want to call it, is so important. And then also the aspect of setting it up for the operator or the machine owner, where he or she has their visual board or their hour-by-hour board to be able to do that check and act, at that frequency. Really love this show, love the simplicity of it, but also the way that Trevor's really thought about the holistic system and how it all connects together, which is what makes it advanced. And I really appreciate all the knowledge and what you have done and continue to do, Trevor. Thanks for helping us create a better future. Bye for now.